Hi, this is Steve Lentini, and I'm your host for Different Thinking for Different Times. This is Season 2, Episode 28. So, people have been asking me about what are some ideas to overcome small minded thinking? And what are some ideas to remind ourselves that we live in a miracle? Well, one, you can look up in the sky at night, or you can go on the web and look at pictures of the Earth as recorded from the Hubble telescope or any of the satellites or perhaps the International Space Station. If you want confirmation that we're living on a little marble that's filled with everything required for life in the midst of a void or a vacuum or something called space, floating around at the exact spot around an exposed nuclear fusion plant that we called the sun, if that's not a miracle, then I don't know what is. We get tied to this physical existence, forgetting that we're really on a spiritual existence traveling through the infinite. We just have a little piece of time. I mean, it's a grain of sand in time, probably less than that. 80 years in the billions it's been here already, the universe, and the billions it's projected to continue to exist. But that's not the case for all of us. We all just have a short journey here. We're here one second, gone the next, as I'm reminded of every day. I say that I'm living the World Series since November 18th, 2002, the day in intensive care at the Waltham Hospital that I left the physical existence into what's next. I don't think we should call it death. We should be disrespectful of it, irreverent. We should call it, irreverently call it what's next or croaking, or we take it too serious. Death sounds so final and it's anything but. How could we think we live in a miracle and at the same time think it all ends? And it didn't for me. Maybe it will for you. I don't know. I hope not tonight or in the next minute. But for me, I went from having a body in intensive care to having no body, just pure consciousness. I was one with everything and nothing. It was just a knowing. And it was like a blink of an eye. 1 second in the bed, 2 friends visiting. Next second, no body, pure consciousness, surrounded by the infinite, the light. And then there was my life review, and only the good I had done was mentioned. All the lives I had touched. Any good I had done, whether I bought someone a sandwich or gave money to the homeless or helped someone across the street or helped someone move, family, friends, strangers, people I had just given a smile to or a word of encouragement, all of that etched onto the fabric of time. So think about that. Think about how you feel when you do good. How does that make you feel? That's our job here, is to do good and to expand our thinking beyond the small-minded thinker, what I now call the acorn brain. After the life review, I was just asked a question by a voice I cannot describe. Thy will be done. I was asked, stay or go. And I said, my consciousness responded with, thy will be done. So Neil Donald Walsh wrote a book called At Home with God in a Life That Never Ends. And he's having a dialogue in the book, if you know the Conversations with God series. He said that if you've read the book, he's asking questions about death and what it's all about and what's it mean. And it's quite a long book. It's about 300 pages. It's actually more. I've got the book in my hand, if you'll indulge me. Including the afterwards, it's 325 pages. So that here he said that he's having this discourse with God about death, and he said, there's a question that you'll be asked at the end. And this is God talking to Neil Donald Walsh. And Neil Donald said, well, what's the question? And you turn the page and it says, stay or go. Or do you want to stay? So here, let me read it, if you'll indulge me. On page 255, the end of your life and what we have described as stage 3 of death, or what's next in my view, you'll be asked an extraordinary question. And this is God talking, telling Neil what it's like. This will be the most important question you will ever be asked, and your reply will be the most important statement you ever made, and the biggest moment of free choice you could ever imagine, right? Free will. It is so important that all of the angels in heaven will stop to listen to what you're saying. It is so important that all your loved ones will be gathered around to hear. It is so important that God will be present when the question is asked. Indeed, she will be the one doing the asking. I get a kick out of that because he also says he throughout the book, he and she. And there were no sexes there. Everything was one. What's the question, Neil Donald asks God. And the question, as you turn the page, top of 256, is, do you want to stay? Do you want to stay? And of course, that's the moment that I surrendered. I surrendered with, thy will be done. Talk about the most important answer to the question, the most important question of my physical existence, and then the answer, thy will be done. I had never surrendered like that, and I've been able to take that lesson every moment with me for the last 18 years, because it was November 18th, 2002. I recently had an anniversary of it. But what I learned from it was that there was only the now, and that's where the divine is. People go searching on a quest for God and studying religions. There was no religion mentioned, no sexes, no sexual preference, no nationalities, no races, nothing from here, from this little globe, this small-minded existence that we pass through. So what are we here for? I mean, there was only the now, and there was nothing from this existence recorded, meaning there was no mention of the houses I owned, the jobs that I had, the books I had written, all the different things that I thought made a measure of me. None of that mattered except for the good I had done. Imagine if we had a whole world where people were working to leave everything and everyone a little better than they find them, which would mean keep your opinion to yourself and don't try to change other people's minds, let alone get angry because other people don't agree with you. Can you imagine if everybody agreed? This wouldn't be if everybody agreed and looked the same and had the same ideas about everything, there'd be no reason to go through this. We go through this to overcome small-minded thinking and to learn to do good. How do you feel when you do good? When I ask people that question, I think everyone has answered, well, I feel good when I do good. Yeah. It's etched onto the fabric of time, and because you're leaving something good here, you're leaving that energy in the moment of good that reverberates throughout time, like the pond. When you throw a stone into it, how the circles just keep moving to the shores of the pond or the lake or the ocean. So live to do good and overcome your small-minded thinking. Now, where there's all kinds of examples of small-minded thinking. Screaming at somebody that cut you off in traffic, or being irritated because somebody tries to get ahead of you in a line, or at work. You don't like a certain boss, or the certain boss says something to you that gets your acorn brain going and you want to respond, or you want to quit, or you want to tell everybody around you the story about how you're right and they're wrong, or you're right in your political beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, your beliefs about raising children, or sexual preference. or even rage against one sex versus the other. It's all a waste of time. Because the gift in people and things that bother us are nudging us to expand and stretch and grow, to nudge ourselves, to look at all the things that bother us, the people that bother us, all the different opinions that bother us, the races, the sexual preferences, the different things that occur in life as a gift, getting us to grow, learning to stretch and grow. Now, are there things that we're supposed to be upset with, or the things that we are here to change? Sure, of course. We're to do what we can do to make the world better, though, not to make a whole group of others wrong, whether it's religion or sexual preference or politics or whatever it is. That if you want to make people wrong at work, instead of doing something positive about it to correct it. In fact, if you're living in the idea there isn't enough money, or there's not enough to go around, or it's competition and dog eat dog, you're wasting your energy, because we live in a miracle. We live in a universe. There is no such thing as dog eat dog, except in the minds of those people that believed it's a dog eat dog world. It's a competitive world. You've got to climb over people. That's one way to think. It's what I call scarcity thinking, scarcity. Afraid there won't be enough. And we live in a miracle, right? An abundant universe, an infinite universe. We have no idea really how it works. Even for the physicists who have thought that they're thinking they're on the path to figuring it all out, they're way off even today in modern times, what we call modern times. The thing is, when you go from this to that, and it is a place, when you croak, and I hope it's not tonight or in the next minute, we don't know. But when we do go, we do know. There is a place. And it's amazing. It's infinite grace, infinite mercy, infinite joy, infinite love. But those words don't even describe it. You just immediately know you're one with everything and nothing. And only the now. That's all it was. It was a now and a now and a now. And I mention that in each episode because that's where the divine is. For people that are searching for God, it's in the now, in everything that comes across your consciousness. It's been brought to you for a reason, to stretch and grow, to deal with it, to help someone else through a moment. Whoever and whatever shows up in your doorstep is the divine, God in disguise, the goddess, the Brahma, the Buddha, the Mohammed, the Christ, the Abraham. It doesn't matter what you call it. As Lao Tzu said in the Tao Te Ching, when he was asked, what do you call this life force? He said, you cannot name that which has no name. So in each moment when your acorn brain wants you to react, when that automatic thought gets you to rail against something or gets you to express an opinion that's against one thing or another, how about just being in the moment and acknowledging, accepting, wow, they think different than we do. They think different than I do. Why do you think that way? That would be a good question to ask. How did you come to that conclusion? Okay. Without feeling the need to change their mind, because your job is you, not them. If everybody looked the same, talked the same, felt the same, if everybody had one particular political party, one race, one sex, I mean, the whole world wouldn't even be an existence called life, because there would be no opposites. When you leave your body, you go into the infinite. There are no opposites. Everything is one. As I said, no religion, no races, no sexual preferences, no sexes, no nationalities, no countries. No one was right or wrong. Everyone just was. and the good you do. So you go from this to that, and it's all just the now, which left me with that message. That's where the divine is. And only the good being mentioned in my life review taught me that's our job here, is to do good. And then the surrender invitation, stay or go. And I said, thy will be done. The invitation was there, and my consciousness responded with, thy will be done. I didn't think about the next moment or the previous moment. In that moment, I knew it was okay to surrender to it. And that's the continued invitation that life gives us. Welcome each moment. As Eckhart Tolle says, some people think reality is nuts. He also says, when you fight life, life fights you. You know what I mean when I say that. We've all had moments. I still have them back in my body today that I want to fight life, and I catch myself and surrender and say, oh, this must be the plan. And I address what needs to be addressed and do what needs to be done and continue to work to overcome my own small-minded thinking, because after all, that's my job. I'm not trying to convince you to overcome it. I'm just saying, think about it. Try it. Test it for yourself. Make your life that experiment. See if it doesn't change. See if you don't feel like you're one with the infinite when you're helping others, or when you're just accepting others, or when you're only managing yourself and what shows up into your life every day with gratitude. Be there with it. That's my encouragement. Test it for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I can tell you, though, that when we leave this, when we go, when we croak, there is a place. We go to a place, and it's amazing, way beyond what your acorn brain has been telling you. Thank you. Any questions? You can email me, Steve at stevelentini.com, Steve at stevelentini.com. If you want me to, if you'd like me to interview you, you want to be a part of the podcast, if you'd like to come on and challenge me, remember, before you come on, I'll be asking you, does that sound like small-minded thinking? Have a great week.